Yet again, we have another prime example of MAGA Latinos voting against their own interests here in the state of Florida and then finding out what the consequences are. Effective February 6th, all driver's license exams, written, oral, when you're doing the actual driving, the physical, are all going to be in English. They used to be available in Spanish, Haitian Creole, in some places Chinese, Arabic, etc. Now completely English, and no interpretation services will be available. A 3-minute drive from where I live is one of the most infamous DMVs here in Dade County. It comes out on the TV all the time for fraud. Historically here, people have had other people take the written exam for them in their place fraudulently, even the driving exam for them, and then they just call them, hey, come inside, take the picture. I just took the exam for you. My person at the DMV has it all planned out, blah, blah, all in Spanish, right? Because many people that go to the DMV here in Miami don't know English. And that was the case for many years, but they've cracked down on a lot of that fraud here in Dade County. With the appointments, people were selling them. It was chaos. So now, this is going to affect everyone who has some kind of legal status, and even people who become U.S. citizens that are trying to get their driver's license, trying to get their ID, trying to get all these things. Everything is now going to be in English. And again, they clearly stated there's no interpretation services. You're going to have to figure it out on your own. And if you guys know anything about my hometown, the 305, people here, the majority of the county of the city speaks in Spanish, right? There's many places in Dade County you can live in your entire life without ever having to utter a word in English. But I guarantee you, if you would do a poll in each DMV in Dade County, right, of the people that are going there to get their license for the first time, written, to renew it, to do anything there, if you did a poll of the people that are eligible to vote, or even people that aren't, just people that support, asking who would you support if you could vote? 99.9% of those people would say Trump. I guarantee you. And DeSantis. They are MAGA to the very end. Even people that don't have status here in Miami, that don't have any immigration status or are in the process of getting it, absolutely adore MAGA, adore Trump, and adore Ron DeSantis. And these are the consequences when people vote for Republicans in the state Senate, in the state representatives here in Florida, in the state legislature, right? I can guarantee you guys, this is going to cause chaos in DMVs across South Florida, in particular in Miami-Dade County. But once again, you get what you vote for, or what your family members that are U.S. citizens vote for.
Hello, what's going on, good people of the internet? Welcome back to Global Views with Josh. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, tap the like, and buckle up, because today's story comes with irony. So think you could pave 195 with it. So imagine this. Florida Latino truck drivers proudly voted for Donald Trump. Flags flying, hats on, America First chants echoing, and now, plot twist, they're absolutely furious because Florida passed an English-only CDL rule that is putting their livelihoods at risk. Yes, they voted for the political movement that promised law and order, English only, and tough immigration rules. And now, shocked. They are shocked that those same policies are being enforced on them. You can make these up, guys, but let's talk about it.
Florida Latinos, you F around, you find out. Guess what they're doing starting February the 6th in Florida? You can no longer take the driver's license test in Florida in Spanish. What? Yes, starting February 6th, all you Latino voters that voted for DeSantis, guess what? You're not going to be able to take the driver's license test for commercial or regular driver's license in Spanish anymore. Also, you cannot have an interpreter for any language. No more assistance. You have to take it by yourself. It is English only, and that is it. So keep on voting for people that make things more difficult for you. But again, you F around, you find out. There's a reason that Miami finally put a Democrat in, Eileen Higgins, with 60% of the vote to 40% of the vote over the Republican candidate. Y'all better wake up and smell the coffee, smell those roses. Yep. So you F around, you find out. After February the 6th, you cannot take the driver's license test in Florida in Spanish, and you cannot have an interpreter for any language. Nobody can assist you. It is English only, period. Welcome to Florida. Love to hear from my Democrats, my MAGAs, my crazies, my cuckoos, and the burned out light bulbs. You get what you vote for.
Hey, good morning, everybody. So Florida lawmakers are now advancing legislation that could crack down on the commercial truck drivers who lack immigration status. Now, this is a move the supporters say is all about public safety. However, the critics warn that it could create a deep divide and disrupt the trucking industry. Now, the proposal that is being put forward would require law enforcement officers to detain truck drivers that were found operating commercial trucks or vehicles without proper legal status, and then coordinating with federal immigration authorities. Now, under this bill, the truck involved could be impounded, and the companies that employ the undocumented drivers could also face steep penalties, including losing the ability to operate in the state of Florida. Now, backers of this measure argue that it helps to close dangerous gaps in the oversight of commercial driver's licenses, pointing to the recent fatal crashes involving commercial vehicles and raising concerns about the CDL licensing standards, the identity verification, and also the accountability of truck drivers out on the road. Now, the opponents of this bill counter that the bill risks unfairly targeting immigrant workers, many of whom play a major role in the trucking industry and helping to keep the supply chain moving. They also warn that this policy could only worsen existing driver shortages, raise shipping costs, and create fear among workers who already feel that they are vulnerable in the trucking industry. Now, this legislation still has a long way to go before it actually becomes a law. It is expected to face additional debate as it moves through the Florida legislative system. Now, this bill has strong opinions on both sides and, of course, real-world consequences for both drivers, companies, and consumers alike. So my question to you is, so this bill that is going to be requiring stricter penalties for truck drivers who are illegal, do you think that this bill is actually going to help improve road safety in the state of Florida? Or do you think that it's going to only create more problems in the trucking industry and the supply chain industry? Let me know down in the comment section. All right, everybody, please be safe out on those roads. And if I hear any more on this, I'll be sure to bring it to you. If you don't already, please be sure to like, share, and follow.
I will vote for Donald Trump. Okay? I is no criminal. I is no criminal. Oh, my goodness. So, we've all seen, as far as the inhumane ICE immigration crackdown that's going on. You know, they just taking everybody. Citizen, illegal immigrant, doesn't matter. They just harassing everybody. Now, one thing I am proud to report on is that there is one person, one brave woman who is in the Republican Party and is standing up against this inhumane treatment of people, bro, of people. And that her name is Ileana Garcia. Okay. And I just want, what? Well, this is awkward. This is what you voted for, boo-boo. What are we talking about? You had a whole campaign, freaking Latino, talking about, you know what, they've gone too far. They're going to lose them. Okay, it's the same thing we saw with Marjorie Taylor Greene, where she's talking about that right there, bro. These people, and I pray, okay, if you're an atheist, I would hope that you just are temporarily a person of faith, that we can both be in agreement that there is a hell for these people, that there is a special place in hell for these people. Because this is what I've talked about countless times, that these people don't care. They don't care until it impacts them. Unfortunately, that's most of Americans. Nobody cares until it impacts you. It comes at your doorstep. So while all these people were getting rounded up, while American citizens were being detained, okay, for no reason other than they suspect that you may not be here legally, when all that was going on, this woman didn't care. Okay, she had Latinos for Trump, had no qualms about it. But now she's talking about, I'm afraid my son may get arrested or my son may be detained. Now she wants to come up and talk about, oh, this is horrible. Now you want to say something. Over the course of the last weekend or so, when Petty was deceased, now you want to talk about, oh, they've gone, huh? What you talking about? They've gone too far. This is the type of bull crap. These are the type of people that do not need to be anywhere near, grabbing their ankles if they mean they can get a little bit of a kickback. And then the funny part is it gets even worse because it gets like this catty, pettiness, because she talks about, blaming Stephen Miller. Now, what we also have to understand is that she got into it with Stephen Miller's wife, because Stephen Miller's wife was like, she got fired, because she wasn't doing her job. Ileana Garcia was like, well, how about we talk about that and how you called your husband a racist, all right? And what's really going on in the last administration. Oh. And I'm like, bro, this.
Here's just another reason why I love living in Florida, you guys. Look at this. Florida to give driver's license exams only in English, says the DMV. All Florida driver's license examinations will be administered exclusively in English without the option of an interpreter, the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles said Friday. The policy will go into effect February 6th. Previously, knowledge exams for most non-commercial driver's license classifications were offered in multiple languages, the department said. Commercial learner's permit and commercial driver's license knowledge exams were offered in English and Spanish. The fact that we even have to require you to know English in order to pass an exam and to drive a commercial vehicle. You guys saw what happened on the freeway down here with that 18-wheeler where the guy turned around and he was going the wrong way and that SUV hit him and those people were killed in it. And he didn't even know. He was driving under his GPS, didn't even know. I'm not going to say, what ethnicity he was. But if you know the story, you know what I'm talking about. This should be a requirement, and this should be in every single state in our country.
So Florida recently implemented sticker enforcement around commercial driver's licenses, requiring CDL holders to demonstrate English proficiency. Now, on paper, this rule isn't new. English proficiency has long been part of federal CDL requirements. But Florida decided to crank the volume way up, aggressively enforcing it in a way that's hitting immigrants and bilingual drivers hard. And suddenly, Latino truckers, many of whom supported Trump and MAGA candidates, are realizing something uncomfortable. These policies don't come with a but not you exemption. No VIP pass, no good immigrants lane, no I voted red discount, just cold, hard enforcement. And this is where the irony kicks in, guys. Because for years, these same politicians were very clear. There were no whispers, no footnotes, no fine prints. They said English should be the national language. If you come here and speak English, we are cracking down. So they said. And a lot of folks heard that and thought, but they mean somebody else, right? Spoiler alert, they didn't. The rule doesn't ask who you voted for. It doesn't check your Facebook posts. It doesn't care how many Trump rallies you attended. It just comply or lose your ability to work. You get that? So now we're seeing interviews with angry truckers saying, this isn't fair. We weren't expecting this. And this hurts our families. And you're sitting there thinking, wait, now fairness matters all of a sudden. Well, this isn't just about truckers. This is a pattern. We're seeing it with farmers who supported mass deportations that lost their workforce. Service workers who chaired immigration crackdowns, then watched prices rise. Blue-collar voters who voted against labor protections, then wondered why wages stalled. Now, over and over again, people are told these policies will hurt them, not you. And over and over again, reality says, actually, everybody's invited. Because when policy is built on broad enforcement, instead of nuance, it doesn't gently tap you on the shoulder. It runs you over with the same truck you've been driving for 20 years. So let's be clear. Being bilingual is not incompetence. Having an accent is not inability. Driving safely for decades doesn't magically stop counting because Talasay decided to flex. But here's the uncomfortable part no one wants to say out loud. You don't get to vote for a hammer and then complain when you find out you are a nail. Politics isn't a vibe. It's not a team jersey. It's policy. And policy of course, it does have consequences. And sarcasm aside, this is serious. These are real people, real jobs, real families. Losing a CDL isn't an inconvenience, it's economic devastation. Which raises the real question. Why did it take this for the alarm bell to go off? Another issue here is how these policies were sold. Many Spanish language conservative outlets and influencers pushed the idea that tough immigration laws were about criminals, outsiders, or people who don't contribute, right? But truckers do contribute immensely. They keep shelves stocked. They move the economy. They quite literally keep Florida running. Yet, somehow, people were convinced that enforcement would surgically target others while leaving them untouched. Now, that's not how bureaucracy works. That's not how law works. And it's definitely not how politics works. This isn't about mocking people for being upset. Anyone would be upset. It's about asking whether voters are being honest with themselves about what they are supporting and why. Because if a policy only sounds good as long as it hurts someone else, maybe it's not good, or rather it's not a good policy either way. And if your first reaction is, wait, I didn't think it would apply to me, then maybe, just maybe, that's the moment to reevaluate the sales pitch you bought into. So here we are. Florida Latino truckers are angry. The politicians they supported are mostly silent, and the rule book is being enforced exactly as advertised. No exemptions, no rights, no do-overs. The question now isn't just about truckers, it's about voters everywhere. Are we voting based on slogans, based on fear, based on the assumption that consequences are for other people, whoever those other people are? Or are we finally ready to look at policy through the lens of who actually pays the price? Now, that's where I'll leave it. What do you think? Is this fair enforcement or political overreach? Were these voters misled, or did they ignore the warning signs? And should economic reality matter more than party loyalty? So, drop your thoughts in the comment section. Let's talk about it respectfully, honestly, and without pretending. Irony doesn't exist. You just don't gotta pretend that. Now, if you found value in this breakdown, like the video, share it, and subscribe to Global Views with Josh. Until next time, stay informed, stay curious, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Credit belongs to original creator. Guys, please subscribe.